this is a Singer 401A sewing machine. It was produced in the 60s, I believe, and I found it at my parents' house, and I've been working on cleaning it and getting it back into working condition. It mostly works now. It's got a few issues, but I've been taking some stuff off, cleaning it, putting it back together to get it so that it works really well and I can use it. But there are so many cool little tricks to getting this machine to work that go on inside of this metal housing, and they are so fascinating that I just wanted to show off a couple of them because from an engineering perspective, they're just awesome. And I don't really know who else in my life will appreciate this other than you all. So here we go. This is the forward and back stitch button. So here is forward stitch and here's back stitch. And on most machines, you can change the stitch length. And sure enough, you can change the stitch length on this machine by moving this tiny little, I'm gonna move you actually into the center of the screen. Here we go. This tiny little metal fin, basically, backwards and forwards. And you do that by turning the end of this pin. So if it's, I guess, kind of hard to see from this angle, let me move in. So if I move it this way, the stitch length gets shorter because the fin stops it from going down farther. But if I turn it the opposite direction, it will go down farther. And you can basically set a repeatable stitch length. So you set it to reverse stitch at the beginning and end of your thread, and then you go back to your forward stitch, and you can basically infinite variability in how fine of a stitch length you can get. And there's even this section that's labeled fine for like buttonholes or embroidery, I think. I've only ever used something like this for buttonholes. But it's this V shape in there. So the fin basically can ride along that V shape to get very precise control. And you can get very precise reverse control of that stitch length. And that is so cool. Like this captive little fin on this peg that allows you to make those really fine adjustments and really precise settings to get the stitch length you need. Okay, so I don't really expect anyone in my audience to have a super in-depth background about how sewing machines work. It's just not the content I've made so far. So I'm gonna explain a little bit about how sewing machines work, but there are tons of better explanations out there. Basically, when you're sewing, you use two threads. You use a bobbin thread that goes down here, which is just a tiny little spool of thread. I put it away so I wouldn't get it dirty. And then you have a top thread, which usually is a spool that sits up here. You run your thread down, up and around, and all the way through here. And then when it goes down, it'll wrap the top thread around this bobbin thread and pull that top thread back up. And that's how you make a stitch. But you have to wind these bobbins. So on this machine, they included this bobbin winder. And this bobbin winder works by pushing it up. So you'll put the metal bobbin on here, you push it up, and then this rubber wheel rides against this white wheel. And you can kind of see that this white wheel moves the needle up and down, as well as it is connected to the motor in here that runs everything. But usually machines have a way that when you go to wind your bobbin, you can disable the needle so that you don't have to worry about your needle running up and down while you're winding your bobbin. So this is dangerous, but usually you don't want it to be dangerous when you're focused over here. So what this machine did is they included this dial. So this whole thing, this is a coupling to connect this outer dial to the shaft that runs in here, because there's a motor that sits in here and a gear that sits here. Currently the motor's not in it, but don't worry about that. So what you can do is you can turn this dial just a little bit and you've decoupled. See, so now watch the needle. When I rotate this, it doesn't move, and it will move if I rotate this, but it doesn't move when I rotate this. So we can decouple the needle from this outer wheel so that we can wind the bobbin on this. And what this will actually do is, because of this little metal piece here, once the bobbin is full of thread, it will actually kick this out and the bobbin will stop winding. So it will tell you when it's full and automatically stop winding, and then you can cut your thread and rethread the machine and be ready to go. But that's not the super cool thing, or the thing that I found super fascinating. It's this screw. So if I connect this back up and then let's see if I can get it in shot. So you can see the other end of this screw. You can see that little pin there. If I back it out, it hits this dial, or this other little pin. Let me get something to point with. It hits this other little pin right here, and that stops you from being able to thread this off, because you have to be able to thread this on and off to assemble the machine and repair the machine, basically. So instead of just sticking a bolt through it, they have decided to do something which is present all over these little custom pieces. But they've decided to take this screw, and you'll notice when I was undoing that, it was starting to spin past. And they've only threaded about two turns on the screw. So you can see that there. They've only threaded like two wraps on the screw, so that it will only bite into this little section here, and the rest is just a smooth pin, so you don't have to worry about extra threads or anything getting caught in it, or getting caught in the threads and turning into gunk. And you also don't have to spend as long screwing it in when you assemble it, which is smart. But now with that screw out, we can fully take this off. And you can see here, we've got just this threaded knob that goes on the end, and it makes the whole machine work. And you can even take this little plate out, so it stops working. So you basically can just unscrew the machine. But this little plate working in conjunction with this knob and this screw are fascinating. And I was sitting here cleaning this the other day, and I was just enamored with this. This is so clever and so smart that I'm like, why did I earn an engineering degree? I can't come up with this stuff. Other people can. But yeah, and all of it is so easy to take apart and put back together if you just look at what is going on. So like, you can just take that screw out and the thing can come apart, and I could clean this whole thing, and then you put the screw back in and you're ready to rumble. Like, it takes 4 seconds to take that screw in and out, and it's ready to go. It's just so fascinating. So obviously there's still work to do on this machine. There's still dirt and grime to get off of it, and I have to free up this dial here. But all of the stuff working together in harmony to make this machine work are fascinating. And I would encourage you to go to your parents' house, go to your grandparents' house, find their old sewing machine that they've shoved in a closet and they say, oh, it doesn't work anymore. Take it home, take the needle out, learn how a sewing machine works, and take it apart and just look at all of the fascinating stuff that's going on in here. Because I haven't even mentioned all of the linkages, all of the cams, everything that is just hidden inside that's incredibly detailed and incredibly complex, and it's just fascinating. Obviously, be careful because you're working with a machine that cannot differentiate between fabric and flesh. But take a look at what is going on inside of these and the kind of engineering that goes on inside of these things to make them work. It's just fascinating. And then also think about the fact that it was all done by hand on paper, and they're just cool. I feel like I've been saying the same thing for the last 2 minutes. But that's it. That's the video, I guess. I don't have anything else to say on this. I don't even have a thought. I just sat down and started talking about this. So, like and subscribe, or don't, I guess. I'm not your dad. If you want to see more about this machine, let me know in the comments below. Give it a like. Let me know that you want to see more of this if you do. Otherwise, that will probably be all of this machine that you will see. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me ramble for, I don't know, like probably like 5 minutes at this point, maybe more. Yeah. Bye.